Aloha and welcome back to the Own the Outcome podcast. My name is Tyler Deveraux, and today, man, we have a special episode with the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Myron Golden. Brother, welcome.
Thank you, bro.
Podcast,
Glad to be here. Glad to be here, man.
Glad to have you. I'm so excited to be able to pick your mind for an hour, brother.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We got some fun stuff to talk about.
100%. So we're going to be at Peak Partnership. So for those of you who don't have your tickets to Peak, make sure to grab your tickets to Peak Partnership. But Myron's going to be with us at Peak. And somehow we negotiated, influenced, sold him being able to be there for all 3 days, which I'm so excited about, man.
I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's really going to help a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with that.
It's even going to help people who are not there, because these people are going to leave and they're going to be on a mission to go change people's lives in a great way. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely
agree with that. I would love to even lead in with some of that because, well, I'll say this. Actually, here's what I would love to lead in with.
Sure.
We were talking about the Shands podcast, David Shands podcast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I loved about that is when you were talking about, I don't know if you remember this, but you were talking about, I think it was towards the end, you said something along the lines of the first thing that God said to Adam and Eve. And you told them to be fruitful and multiply.
Oh, yeah.
And you talked about how God has planted, I don't know if you remember this.
An aspect, yeah.
And I think it's so powerful because, so I would love for you to chat about that if you don't mind. And I would love to lead in with that because I think for anybody listening to this, they have a seed in them that will help them with whatever they're doing.
100%.
And so if you don't mind just talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like when we think about God, people, if I say God is, people who are watching right now, they might say God is love or God is good. And somebody might say all the time. And somebody might say God is holy and just and righteous and omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient. All of those are true, but none of those are the first thing that God told us about God. The first thing that God told us about God is that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, why would he do that? The only answer I've been able to come up with is because he is creative, and therefore it is his nature to create. So the first thing God tells us about God is that he's creative. Why is that so important? It's so important because the first thing that God tells us about us is that he created us in his image, which means he created us to create stuff, and he made us to make stuff. And it also says, if you keep on reading, it says that God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and he put the man there to till the ground, to dress and keep it. So God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, but he didn't just make Adam the gardener, he also made him the garden, because the man was made from the dust of the ground. And God told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply. The word fruitful means to produce. A fruit, what is a fruit? A fruit is a living organism whose seed is in itself, right? And so people talk about the economic pie, for instance, right? Oh, I don't want too big of a piece of the economic pie, but there's no pie. God didn't put man in a bakery where consumption creates lack. God put man in a garden where consumption creates production. And so what happened was God, I believe, planted the seed of an aspect of his creativity inside of all of us. He didn't give all of his creativity to any of us, but he gave an aspect to each of us. And our job is to produce on the outside based on what God put on the inside. And when we do that, it's about to be on.
Yeah.
It's about to be on.
I love it so much because so many times we see, you know, you said this in the podcast too. You said something like, the only thing we can't see with our own eyes is
ourselves. Yeah. Our eyes are designed to look outward. So we can't see the value in ourselves. It's hard for us to see the value in ourselves because it's in us. If the same value is in somebody else, it'd be easily recognizable.
That's it.
That's why people have envy and jealousy. And the reality is there's no need for that because you can't do their job and they can't do yours.
Yes.
There's no reason to have envy or jealousy or thinking that somebody's better off than you or that you're better off than somebody else. Everybody was put here for a unique assignment. And if we stay on task with that assignment, that's the only way we can be fulfilled anyway.
Here, let me tell you why I love this so much.
Okay.
So my tagline, invest with aloha, okay?
Okay.
But aloha, people think aloha means hello, goodbye, and it does.
Right.
But the real meaning of aloha, if you break it down, alo means to see, and ha is breath of life. So you'll notice, you know, when somebody says aloha on the island, everybody says it back. It's because it's what this means. It means I see the God in you. It's reciprocal.
So good.
And you see the God in me. And then if I see you not living up to the God in you, breath of life, I'm going to breathe life into you. But the reason that I loved it is because I've said that, and I mean, it just resonated with me, and I just love the Hawaiian Islands, and I love the meaning behind that. But it made me, when I heard you say that, it made me think of like, how often am I seeing the God in me? I see the God in others. Yes. How often do I see the God in me?
Yeah, we are made in the image and the likeness of greatness, which means we are made to be great. And we will be great if we will allow ourselves to be, not make ourselves be great. That part's already been done.
Yeah.
Right? God made us great. And some people say, well, God didn't make you great. Well, I'm gonna agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah.
Because another place in Scripture, not that this is a Bible study, but like life is a Bible study to me. It says, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Who is, what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visit him? For you made him a little lower than the angels, and then crowned him with glory and honor. Why would God crown us with glory and honor if we're not great? So anyway. I
love it. So this is what I'm talking about. I love how your mind works. And that's what I kind of want to lead into, because you said God is creative.
That's the first thing he tells us about himself. Yeah.
So how do you think that creativity and imagination, how do you think that applies to business? Maybe even the multifamily business or any business?
It applies to every business, because wealth is created. Like people think people got wealthy because they took something from someone else. No, new wealth is created all the time. And wealth is created when you create something that's valuable to someone other than you. The way to create wealth is to become consumed with solving somebody else's problem, not be attempting to get them consumed with solving yours. We have too many people in the world who are focused on attempting to get their parents to solve their problems, their spouse to solve their problem, their children to solve their problem, the government to solve their problem, the community to solve the problem, the church to solve their problem. No. What if you became a person who every time you saw somebody else with a challenge, a problem, a need, you figured out a solution? Well, you would be one of the most abundantly wealthy people in the world, because you solved a problem for the largest number of people, period.
So good, man. I cannot wait.
It's so interesting. Who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody. On my YouTube channel yesterday. I went live on YouTube yesterday, and I was teaching the 8-figure blueprint. And I said, all of the money that you desire to have right now and don't have, it's in somebody else's pocket, or their bank account, or their checkbook, or their purse. They will happily hand it over if you will create something for them that's greater to them than the money that they have to pay for it.
That's it.
Period.
Yep. That the value exchange is greater
than the money.
Yes. But you only do that by understanding truly what they need, what they want, and
100%.
Positioning yourself to be able to serve them and give them that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that creativity, that imagination is that, you're big on asking questions,
Yes.
And that's, you said, I've heard you say before that the question is
Questions are the answer.
Yeah.
Questions are the answer. Yeah.
And that's it. Ask better questions, get better answers, get better results.
And most people are terrible at asking questions. Terrible. The average person who thinks they're in sales couldn't ask you 10 related questions in a row.
Okay, so this part right here, what's a tactical thing to help somebody become better at asking questions?
Become more curious, right? So you can ask, like I could say, so Tyler, how long have you been in the real estate business? How long?
10 years, right?
10 years.
Well, so multifamily, 10 years.
Multifamily, 10 years. So what did you do before multifamily?
I was did some single family investing. I did some sales as well.
So was it hard for you to do the leap from single family to multifamily? Like mentally. In your mind, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Mentally. So looking back, do you sometimes chuckle when you think about how hard you thought it was compared to how easy it is?
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
So how did you, what helped you cross that bridge? What was the thing that got you to do it for the first time? I'm going to go raise some money and buy an apartment building that's so outside my spending comfort zone, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. What was the brought you across that bridge?
I was working with one of my mentors. His name was Jeremy. And Jeremy told me, because I was looking at everyone else, I knew that I needed to do it. I knew the why behind it, which was I needed to provide for my family. I wanted to be able to provide for my family. I just found out that I was going to become a dad. And I knew the type of dad I wanted to be, which is a present dad. And so the why was there, the motivation was there. But what truly took me over the edge was I looked at everybody that was succeeding, And I looked at them as that they had somebody was given, they were given something, they had something that I didn't have, and they had an advantage because I didn't grow up with advantages. And so I just figured that anybody who had
more
what I wanted
had
an advantage. And my mentor told me that I was one of the most judgmental mother effers on the planet. And that's not how I identified. So I was like, whoa, no, I'm not. He's like, yes, you are, bro. Yes, you are. Because have you talked to them? And I was like, no. He's like, go ask them what they're doing. And what I found was they were doing things that I wasn't doing. And so it removed my excuse. And the minute that excuse was gone, I could no longer lean on it. It was a crutch. Game over.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that all transformation begins with a new awareness. And it sounds like you stumbled into this new awareness, and that new awareness caused you to set an intention that you did not even have the ability to set before you had that new awareness. Would you agree with that?
100% agree with that. So what I'm hoping is that people that are listening to this have the new awareness of what you just did, which is ask me questions that literally and that fast made me excited.
Exactly.
Because you were curious. And it's not because you were just trying to prove a point of asking a question.
Right. No, I literally wanted to know.
Well, I can tell.
And by the way, I could ask you 100 more questions for the rest of the day. I could literally ask you questions until past 8 o'clock tonight. Yeah. Easily.
Yes.
Easily. Because it's all fascinating to me. Most people are not fascinated because we've been so miseducated. And the thing that we've been the most miseducated about is education itself. Because we think that the purpose of learning is knowing. And so we think the reason to go learn something, the reason to read a book is so you can know something you didn't know. The reason you should go take a class is so you can know something you didn't know. And then what happens when we think we know it, we pass the test, we're like, I know that already. And so as long as you know, your cup is full. And if your cup is full, nothing can be added to it. But the real purpose of learning is not knowing. And by the way, knowing isn't even knowing, because most people think that knowing about, knowing of, they think that's the same as knowing. They think hearing is no. Learning about, learning to, learning from is not the same as learning. I believe the primary purpose of learning is mastery. And you can always tell what you've mastered by what you're doing, because mastery means the ability to execute effortlessly without the use of conscious resources, right? And until you can do it effortlessly without the use of conscious resources, you haven't learned it.
That take is a great take.
Isn't that fire?
Yes.
So if you're still in trying mode, you're trying because you haven't learned yet.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you how do you master something? By the way, one of my favorite games that I play. First off, we played as a family where we communicate by only asking questions.
Oh, that's so good.
So good. And then when I get in an Uber, I see how many questions I can ask before I get one in return. 42 is my record. 42 questions
before they ask you anything.
Before they ask me anything back, which is crazy.
And by the way, when you get out of that Uber, 42 questions later, they're going to think you're the most interesting person they've ever talked to. You know why? Because you're the most interested person they ever talked to.
Oh, and you know what? I've learned so much about people, and what I've learned is people are amazing. These people that you just look at the surface, and people are unbelievable, man. Yeah,
I agree.
So how do you master something? I know that's a hell of a question. But
So the way to master anything, and I'm going to quote my daughter, the CEO of our company, because she's brilliant. You have to perform something purposefully until you can perform it passively. And so it's like the guitar. When you first learn how to play chords, they feel impossible. But once you've practiced them enough and you've developed the muscle memory and you've developed the mind memory and you just develop the knowingness, it becomes effortless. Things that you thought were impossible become effortless. By the way, walking is that way. Walking, when you first learned how to do it, it wasn't like the easiest thing in the world. Riding a bike, tying your shoes. We literally are masters at mastering things as human beings, but we've never taken inventory of the things we've mastered. When you were born, you couldn't drive a car. You couldn't use a phone. You couldn't use a computer. It blows my mind that people begin a new activity with, oh, it's going to be so hard. Why would you do that to yourself? Like, never assign a level of difficulty to something before you even put your foot in the arena. Always assume that it's doable because it's already been done by someone other than you. And when you landed on this planet, you literally could not do anything. You couldn't feed yourself, you couldn't bathe yourself, you couldn't talk, you couldn't chew your own food. Like, you could do nothing. And all you have to do to know there's nothing you can't learn is look in the rear view mirror of your mastery. That should let you know there's nothing you can't master.
That is so good. We are the masters of mastering things.
We are.
We are. I believe one of God's greatest gifts is the ability to reflect. And I don't know if this is true, but I heard that we're the only species that can reflect.
Sure.
And if that's the case, then it makes me think of like, God is asking for us to just look back, to see what's in us, to learn about us, like you were saying, what's in here, so that we can go create what's next.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's really fascinating. Like one of my hopeless fascinations is with the Bible in general, but then the Bible in its original language, the Old Testament in Hebrew. Like the Hebrew language is like source code for life. It's like another level. Yeah. And when you think about the difference between a man and a beast, they're like the word Adam is Aleph, Daled, Mem, and the letter Aleph represents God. Okay. Daled, Mem is the word blood, but Daled is a door and Mem is might. So what is a man or a woman? And that word man includes male and female. So what is a human? A human is a godlike creature with mighty potential.
Okay.
Right? Right, exactly. That's the point. That's my whole point, bro. But watch this. Here's what a beast is. An animal, like a dog, a cat, a chimpanzee, whatever. It's bahema. Bahema. In it is what it is. That's what, and horse is a horse is a horse, of course. What's fascinating, a horse can only do what a horse could do the first day a horse got here on this planet. A dog can only do what a dog could do. A cat can only do what a cat can do. Like, how does a horse get around? Well, they can run, they can walk, they can gallop, they can trot, they can swim, or they can ride with a human. Now, how do humans transport ourselves? We can walk, we can run, we can skip, we can walk on our hands. We can ride a skateboard, we can ride a scooter, we can ride a Segway, we can drive a car, we can ride a bicycle, a motorcycle, a helicopter, a plane. My point is, we can create new ways to do everything because we are a godlike creation with unlimited or mighty potential.
So, gosh, that is so good. And when you truly, when did you believe that for the first time? Because, you said you were put on this planet, you didn't know how to do anything. But for you, Myron Golden, because you believe this, you want to know, like, I believe influence, I don't know who I heard say this, I think maybe Ed Milet, but he said something like, influence is not hoping that the other person, you don't want the other person to believe it, you want them to believe that you believe it. Like, that you know it. And I believe you. Like, when I hear you say it, I believe you because I know you believe you.
Right.
So when did you, know, no, man, I am a son of God who is, meant for big, massive, amazing things?
That's a really great question. I don't know exactly when. I just know the what. I know what causes me to believe that.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I don't know when as much as I know what.
Okay, so
right?
Let's talk about that, yeah.
So, first of all, I believe every human being is great. Like you talked about, aloha is like you're acknowledging the God in someone. Like, I literally cannot walk past a human being and not say, hey, how you doing? Because I'm not just ignoring a person, I'm ignoring the God-likeness in that person. Maybe this is why the Bible as a whole teaches how you treat other people, how you treat strangers, how you treat people in need is how you actually treat God. Not because that person is God, but that person is a representation of God because they're made in the image of God. And so I know that God made me to do great things because he made everybody for greatness, because he put us here for a purpose. Even those of us who don't know what our purpose is, he still put us here for a purpose. And like for me, I began to understand life when I came to Christ when I was 16 years old, and I started reading the Bible when I was 16. And I thought it was going to be about religion. I thought, I'm reading the Bible, I'm thinking, well, this is that religious book that people who go to church read. And I went to church my whole life, and I thought the Bible was about religion. I started reading, I'm like, wait a minute. This is telling me how to get along better with my 6 brothers. This is telling me how to get along better with my parents. This is telling me how to get a better job. Like, I could literally see that was giving me practical, life advice every day. When I was a teenager, I saw that. And I just started, okay, well, this is what God says works. I'm gonna test it. And literally, I started out, okay, I'm gonna test this, see if it works like he said. It worked just like he said it would. Then I test something else, and it worked. I'm like, this is like a cheat code. This is like the ultimate advantage. And it goes back to even 2015, after I'd gone through a whole bunch of stuff for the previous 7 years, 2007 to 2014, went through a whole bunch of trauma and tragedy. In 2015, I discovered in the scriptures King Solomon's business model. And I said, I can't believe that's in the Bible. I can't believe I've read this that many times and I've never seen this before. And his business model is laid out like as plain as day on the pages of scripture, and I've never heard anybody talk about it. Oh, I'm gonna do this. And I can remember in my car talking to my brother Dwayne, I'm driving down the road, I said, dude, I found King Solomon's business model in the Bible. This is what I'm gonna do to bounce back. I'm gonna build my business based on the business model of King Solomon. It's gonna be, the next 7 years is gonna be epic. He's like, cool, man. And so it works so much better than I could have imagined. Like, I couldn't have, like on levels, orders of magnitude better than I ever could have imagined.
So, a couple questions with that.
Sure.
Number one, were you in there searching while you're reading? Did you have a purpose for your reading? Like, were you searching for something like that?
No.
That you think that is?
No, I was just, when I read the Bible, I'm searching for what God wants me to find. Like, I'm open. I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial.
Let's go. I love it. Let's get it.
Most quote gurus will disagree with me on this, but that's okay. I'll give them time to catch up. Just kidding. Kind of kidding. I don't set goals.
Okay.
I don't have any goals. Like, people say, what's your goal for 2025? I don't have a goal for 2025. I don't have goals. And I believe goals are one of the things that frustrate people and cause people to quit. Because they say, I'm going to do this, this, and this by this time, and then it doesn't happen, and they walk away. I have objectives for inputs.
Objectives for inputs. Explain.
So, one of the scientific formulas that I discovered is inputs create outputs. So if you don't like the output, change the input, right? So I have objectives for inputs. Okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But I'm not going to say, and I want it to produce A, B, and C on the back end. I'm going to let it produce whatever it produces. And then I'm going to observe what it produces. But I'm not going to predetermine what it produces, because if I do, I made that up. A business plan is a guess at best.
Oh, yeah.
Goals are either a sophisticated or unsophisticated guess, or a means of attempting to impress people because you said you're going to do something. Like, here's what I want to do. I want to make sure that as I live my life, I give my best in everything that I do. And if it's not worth giving my best in, it's not worth doing. So, like, I fully expect to acquire hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate this year. But I don't have a goal. I'm going to acquire $700 million worth of real estate this year, or $300 million worth of real estate this year. No, I'm just going to do the inputs, and I can see that it's going to turn into hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate. Even though right now, I mean, my real estate holdings might be 6 million. How do you go from 6 million to hundreds of millions? You just become aware of what's possible and what that possibility means both to the people that you're going to serve and to you.
Okay.
And you move in that direction.
So, man, so many things I want to drill in on. First of all, I think that's very much an abundant mentality, because, you know, I mean, I will tell you, I operate in this idea of like, okay, that's the outcome. I mean, my podcast is own the outcome. Okay. Not control the outcome.
Right, but own the outcome.
Own the outcome of your life, whatever that is. But I'm very much like, okay, that's the target, let's go, right? Like results focused, let's go. But what I love about this is it's really such a bigger picture. It's not like this thing it doesn't have to happen tomorrow.
Right.
It's like, what's the bigger picture? I learned this, now I'm going to do this. Your input output.
Right, input output. And I'm going to control the input. Yeah. But I'm going to let the output take care of itself.
Okay,
the farmer doesn't tell the seed when to turn into a tree.
But that's owning the outcome, in my opinion.
Right.
That's owning the outcome.
No, 100%. I love I know that.
What I mean by that is, owning it is doing what you can do.
Right. And then
every outcome is the necessary outcome if you're doing what you're doing.
100%. And then understanding that at the end of that input, it's going to produce an outcome. And that outcome is always going to be a blessing, because it's either going to be a blessing or it's going to be a lesson. And even if it's only a lesson, it's still a blessing.
100%, yes.
Right? So that, like, if we do everything we're supposed to do, like people are like, I'm gonna build a YouTube channel, I'm gonna get to 1 million subscribers. I didn't have an objective to get to. You know when I started my YouTube channel, you know what my objective was? So this is exactly what I mean. So I really started hyper-focusing on YouTube April 1st, 2022. We had 10,500 subscribers that day. 560 something, whatever, right? 10,500 subscribers. I said, this is what I'm gonna do. I am going to publish 1 YouTube video a week for the next 10 years. And here's my goal. Here's my objective. I'm gonna see if I can get good at YouTube.
I love it.
And I think in 10 years, maybe before 10 years, but certainly in 10 years, I'll be good at YouTube.
I think you're pretty decent. I see this counter over here. There's a counter over here that says over 1 million subscribers.
And now we have over 1 million subscribers in less than 3 years.
This is incredible.
It is incredible, and it's mind-blowing, and it's great, but guess what? And I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm not pretending to be humble. I'm being as honest as I can be.
Yeah.
I'm not good yet.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
I'm not good yet, but I'm going to be. And I'm heading in that direction. And every time we do a YouTube video, we're working on making the next YouTube video better, making the thumbnail a little better, making the hooks a little bit better, making the open loops better, making the content better. Like creating, like when I bought this building, it didn't look like this. We invested so much of the money that YouTube generated for us into renovating this space, into buying this building and renovating the space. Why? Because I made a decision, we are going to get better every time we do a video.
I'll tell you, man, that's a huge takeaway for me. I learned a lot right there because I think one of my problems is I'm not forecasting far enough. Like when you just said 10 years, 10 years, who sets goals? Like who sets it where like this thing, YouTube, 10 years from now, most people don't do that, myself included, but that's why you're different. Like that's a huge takeaway for me.
Right, because I heard Tony Robbins say one time, he said, most people will overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10.
Yeah.
So I'm like, 10 years, 10 years is gonna go by whether I get good or not. Yeah. So I might as well get good, right? And the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Well, the best time to start building your YouTube presence is 20 years ago. But the second best time is today.
Yes. Same with real estate portfolio.
Exactly.
So I would love to shift because I would love to talk about what we were talking about off camera.
Yes, let's do that.
Yes, because you were saying that, well, you said that you want to acquire hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate.
Right.
And we were talking about how, why that's so important and the vehicle behind it that you didn't know about that.
Yeah, I did. So here's where it started for me. 2016, I'm watching a presidential debate. They said to Donald Trump, they said, you made $400 million last year and you didn't pay any taxes? He said, yeah, because I'm smart. And a lot of people got mad at him. I said, I want to be that smart. Because the bane of my existence was taxes and the IRS, right? That was the bane of my existence. I'm like, how can you make $400 million and not pay any taxes? Like, I knew there was a way. And I just stayed open to that way. I'm like, I'm just going to stay open. And I've acquired some real estate over the years. I own 3 houses in this building, right? And so something changes when you actually feel the transformation of that statement. And so I got a new tax strategist when he was working with my CPA on my taxes for 2023, because it was coming time for us to pay the difference between what we had already paid and what we owed in October of last year for 2023 taxes. Okay. And so I was getting ready to write a check for $534,000 or $564,000. Right? Yeah. I'm getting ready to write this check. I'm like, okay. And I've been just getting myself mentally prepared to write this check for months because it's coming. And so Charles says to me, my tax strategy says, don't write that check. Don't write that check. What are you talking about? Yeah. Don't write that check. Of course I'm going to write that check. No, he said, no, I think I might be able to get you a refund. A refund? I haven't had a refund since 1995. What are you talking about, bro? He's like, yeah, I think I might be able to get you a refund. And then he told me how much the refund was going to be. And I was like, wait, what? Then when he finally got the taxes done, he said, well, the refund was actually more than I told you it was going to be. And it was orders of magnitude more. And then when I actually got the deposit in my bank account from the IRS, which is very different. I'm used to seeing money coming out of my account for the IRS.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing money go into my account. Literally, my tax refund, because of the real estate, the limited little itsy bitsy amount of real estate that I own, the refund that I got was more than all the money I've made from all the jobs working for someone else I've ever had in my life.
That's amazing. Yep.
Like, wait, what just happened here? Well, then I bought another house in 2024. December 24th, bought another house. That house that I bought in 2024 is going to get me a refund for all the taxes I paid last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful. This is like a different world. And so I think that if the average high income, high net worth, even just a regular person who's got a regular job, if they understood how much money they could save in taxes,
yes,
they would acquire new properties every single solitary year for the rest of their existence, period. And teach their children to do the same.
Yes. Well, that's what I love about what you said. You said the biggest gap into your legacy or your wealth for your family that you're leaving is the biggest gap. The biggest
hole in your money bucket, in your family's money bucket, is taxes. Mm-hmm. The average American pays 51% in taxes. Now, that's not 51% in income tax, but income tax is the biggest part of that. You got income tax, they tax you when you earn money, they tax you when you spend money. That's called sales tax. They tax you on what you own after you bought it. That's called property tax. They tax you if you sell it for more than you bought it for. That's called capital gains tax. And then when you die, they tax you again. Death tax and estate tax. You just got taxed 5 times on the same money. That's 51 cents out of every dollar. That's $510,000 out of every $1 million you earn. You're paying to the government. And a percentage of that, you can wipe out a large percent, about 30 to 35 to 40% of that, you can completely get all that money back.
Yep.
And end up not paying it anymore.
It's incredible.
Sign me up.
Yes. This is what's incredible because obviously multifamily real estate has massive tax benefits.
Massive, insane, and just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize or understand because until I knew, right?
Well, because you were busy learning algebra and other stuff that you wouldn't use instead of learning stuff that would actually make your life better.
That's it. And learning it, when I truly understood it, it made raising capital super simple.
It's the easiest thing ever. It's the easiest offer ever.
Yes.
I come to you, you're a lawyer, and you make, I don't know, $500,000 a year. And so you're paying 38% of that, whatever that is, $200,000 a year that $200,000 you're spending every year on taxes, if you invest that into a real estate fund, the appreciation, the cash on cash return, the depreciation, the cost segregation, the interest, you literally get to take that same money you used to send to the government and invest it in your family's future. If you don't want to do that, either you don't believe or you don't understand, but it doesn't change the fact that it's possible for you.
Yeah, good. That's so good. That's such a great way to put that. It is, I love it because I love how you phrase that. It's what you used to pay to the government.
Pay it to your family's future.
Yes.
Put that money into that same money into. We're not talking about you coming up with some new money. We're talking about money you're already spending.
Yes.
You're flushing it down the tax toilet.
Dude, I'm so excited for you to speak to our group, man. Because you have a way of communicating that is beautiful. I know you know that. Yeah, you know that. That's what you mean. That's what you've spent your life doing and learning how to do and not knowing, but learning it and then mastering it. Dude, it's incredible. And so how you're able to present things to people is just, it's powerful.
Thank you.
I have a question for you on that, actually.
Okay.
Because you have mastered sales and influence and just communication.
Sure.
So what is what would you say is one, I don't know, skill or a hack that separates those from?
Yeah, you want to be a better communicator.
Yeah.
You want to be a better communicator, do 2 things. Read more, write more. So when you read more, you're filling your head with language. Most people's heads are filled with tunes, jokes, stats of professional athletes that they'll never meet.
Yep.
They could have taken that same space and filled their head with words that were beautifully written by incredibly intelligent people who took their time to think about not just something good to say, but a good way to say it. And so what happens is when you're reading a book, once you get into the flow of that book, your brain starts firing off the same messages, the same frequencies as the person who wrote the book. And it's literally a way of brain training. And then when you write things out, when you like write things out longhand, it literally makes you, and then you go back and read what you wrote and you see that you didn't say what you thought you said, and then you go back and you rewrite it. It literally, like, you will become a better communicator. I had a client who was a high-level attorney, and she said, one of the reasons I'm such a good communicator is because I spent so much time writing out my cases. Like, we didn't just create a case and just go ad lib. No, we would write out all of our points. And so people don't take time to sit back and become hyper clear on their message. Because here's one thing, two things. I'm going to quote my daughter again. She says, the biggest mistake in communication is thinking that it happened. Okay?
Good quote, right?
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Isn't that great? And I'm going to say that when you're communicating with somebody, you didn't say what you thought you said. You said what they thought they heard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good.
So you got to become hyper intentional about the words that you speak. In our coaching programs, we have people who come on and ask coaching questions. And I always tell them, start with a question. My question is, and then when, what, how, why, if. But don't start with the backstory. Mm-hmm. And the reason I have them start with the question is because if you can't get to the point, the marketplace is not going to be patient to wait for you to figure out what you mean to say.
That's so good. I want to share that. Sophie, you write that down. I want to share that. That's so
it's a level. And so when we do our coaching calls, they have to, when we do a Thursday coaching call, they have to submit their questions by Tuesday of that week. If your question is not submitted by Tuesday that week, it doesn't get answered that week. And it has to be in the form of a question. And then I have the moderator read the question to me, and then I answer the question, and then ask them if it was clear. And then we're done. That way we're not sitting there listening to people ramble on and on and on and on.
Which I find myself in. That's why I immediately resonate.
Brutal.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. And people can't get to the point. And it's not because I'm in a hurry. I'm here for you. That's why I'm here. I'm here doing this coaching call for you. I mean, sometimes it lasts for 40 minutes. Sometimes it lasts for an hour and a half. Sometimes it lasts for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all of that. What I'm not okay with is wasting all these people's time because you can't get to the point. And you need to learn, if you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, you need to learn to get to the point because the marketplace is not going to wait on you.
So good, man. Say it louder for those in the back. So good.
Right?
Yes, I promise you I'm pre-framing my next coaching call.
100%.
It's so good. And it's interesting because when you said reading and writing, when I think of when I started to become a better communicator, that's what I started to do. I was reading a ton, but I was also writing because I wanted to teach it to other people. Right. You know, I realized I was going to start teaching it to other people. So it's like, well, even if that was just to myself or my kids or I'm not 100%. Even talking about the community I built. I'm talking about.
Right. Just having conversation with people who are close to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it changed me.
Can I tell you a hack that I got from Charlie Tremendous Jones? I don't know if you know who Charlie Tremendous Jones is. Okay, so Charlie Tremendous Jones, he was a motivational speaker. He was in insurance sales. He wrote a book called Life is Tremendous. I read that book when I was probably 21. There's a sentence in that book that has made me an absolute fortune. I'm going to do it in his voice. He said, when you read a book, or you go to a seminar, or you hear a sermon, and somebody says something that you really like, and it really resonates, don't write down what they said. Write down what you thought of as a result of what they said. Bro, that changed my life.
So good.
So what happens when you take notes on your own thoughts that you're thinking when you're reading somebody else's book, what that does for you is it gives you your own unique perspective and your own unique content that nobody else has ever heard.
Bro.
Game changer?
Game changer. That is so good. That is so good. And I love how you said it because how it's your own thoughts, your own perspective. You're not trying to copy what they said. You don't have to feel, it's like, this is your thoughts. That's so good.
So most communicators leave most of their messages underdeveloped. And I'm going to show you what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's a famous quote by Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was an amazing human being. Here's what he said. Abraham Lincoln said, I will prepare myself and perhaps my time will come. So that's a great quote, but it's totally underdeveloped. So I finished the development of that. Somebody might take mine and further develop it. But here's what I said. Abraham Lincoln said, I will prepare myself and perhaps my time will come. Myron Golden says, Oh, your time's going to come whether you prepare yourself or not.
Ooh.
If you're prepared when your time comes, it will reveal you. But if you're not prepared, it will expose you. Here's the question I have for you. Do you want your life to be a grand reveal, or do you want it to be an expose?
Let's go.
See how powerful that is?
Yes.
See, that's a communication methodology that I just kind of developed. Just take somebody else's quote that's really powerful, and then just finish it.
That's so good. That is literally inactionable. I literally will take that and I will act upon it on my flight. I'm flying to Dallas after this. And on my flight, I will read, and I will do that. I promise you I will do that, because that's a beautiful.
And it's so simple to do. Anybody can do it.
It's that's powerful. Cool. Seriously, I really, and that's, man, you're going to be talking about communication at Peak Partnership.
Oh, 100%. I'm going to be talking about communication. I'm going to be talking about sales. I'm going to be talking about mindset, skill set, tool set. And mindset times skill set times tool set equals assets, and income follows assets. If a person doesn't have enough assets, they either don't have the right mindset, they don't have the right skill set, or they don't know how to use the tool set.
Can I finish your quote?
Please do.
And the network set. If you have a network set,
boom,
right? A network set to add all that together, dude. That is exactly. That's why I know your message is going to not just land, but impact, man. Because when you speak, you don't just speak to impress, you speak
to impact.
Yes.
My desire when I'm talking to somebody is for me to help them perceive an awareness that they've never perceived before, so they can set an intention they've never set before, so they can make a decision they've never made before, so that they can now take an action with discipline that they've never taken before. And if that happens, transformation is the only outcome.
See, so what I say is that the number one purpose of any event that I go to is to enhance belief. But you just said that in a way that completes the thought. You know what I mean? It's not just to enhance the belief; it's for them to enhance their belief so that they go and do those things with it.
100%.
That's so good.
It's going to be transformation. If for the people who are coming to Peak, their life will change in ways they cannot imagine. They cannot, just from being there. I'm going to bring the heat.
Oh, I know.
I'm going to bring the heat.
I know that. I definitely know that. And I appreciate you for putting yourself in a position to bring the heat.
100.
That's what you've been doing your whole life, man, is putting yourself in a position to do that. And it just resonates, man. It comes through you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I'm very excited for you to share it. I'm very excited for all you to hear it. So once again, if you don't have your tickets to Peak, and you don't buy them at this point, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, you're just not ready for that transformation yet. You stay stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck. I'm telling you, the greatest. I've been making a lot of money for a long time. I'm 63. I made my first $1 million in a year when I was 45. So that's 18 years ago, right? The most mind-blowing wealth lesson of my life, and I've learned a lot, is that if you acquire enough real estate, you don't have to pay taxes. And when I say that, it's like, how can you say you don't have to pay taxes? That's un-American. That's unpatriotic. Let's don't even have that conversation.
Yeah.
America was founded on tax revolt. Let's don't act like taxes are patriotic.
That's a good. I haven't thought about that either. That's very true.
Literally. Owning multifamily real estate is like having your own Boston Tea Party for your family. That's real talk.
That is.
Game changer.
That is a game changer. I've never thought of it that way. America was founded on a tax revolt.
Yeah. And people are talking about paying taxes is your patriotic duty. My patriotic duty is to be patriotic.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with paying taxes.
Okay, so I want to be respectful of your time, so I would love to ask you this question.
Ask away.
Which is along the same line, which is, how would you define true wealth? It's kind of two-part. How would you define true wealth? And then also, the other side of that, how do you make sure that when you're creating that wealth and success, it's for, not just for you, but also for your family and your community? Yeah,
so first of all, I think a lot of people have a lot of misperceptions. The more money you make, the better your community is going to be, period. Whether you do it intentionally or inadvertently. Okay, here's what I mean. When I was poor, I'm going to give you a specific example. I came home from college between my first year and my second year. In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I bought a car so I could get around. I paid $50 for that car. Got it out of the Pakistan Herald. It didn't have hubcaps. It didn't have carpet on the floor, but it started, it ran, and I drove it around all summer, had a radio in it. I probably put a cassette player in it back in those days, right? And I drove it around all it was a 1972 Buick Skylark.
I love it.
Right? Drove it around all summer. And the whole time I had that car, I didn't put it in the shop once. I didn't take it to the car wash once. I didn't have it detailed at all. So the only people that benefited from me buying that car, the person I bought it from, myself, and the person I sold it to before I went back to college that year. And then I sold it for $300. So, but I didn't do anything. Now, you take my Mercedes out there. I just put 2 new tires on it. They were, I don't know, 16, and a wheel alignment, $1,600. So now that dealership has money to pay their employees who are going to go spend money at the grocery store. And so just because I have money, people are benefiting. Earlier this week, on I think it was Monday or Tuesday. No, last week. I never know what day it is. Sorry.
Me neither.
Today's Tuesday. Last week, I had them come out and wash my Rolls Royce, right? So I don't take that to the car wash. I have people who come and wash my car here at my studio. So they wash it out there. And I don't know, I pay them like $130. Now they can go buy some food for their family. And then the businesses they spend money in, they all have money to pay people. So when you make money, because you have more money to spend, you spend more money. And when you spend more money, people around you that you will never meet benefit from that. So let's like the perturbation of wealth creation, and I'm going to define that word in a minute, but the perturbation of wealth creation keeps people alive and serves people that you will never meet. So what's perturbation? Perturbation is the disturbance that's created that causes pollen to spread to plants so plants can regenerate. And plants take in carbon dioxide and put off oxygen. So the plants staying alive keeps us alive, and us staying alive keeps the plants alive. But guess what? Bees don't like humans, and humans don't like bees. 80% of perturbation is done by animals and insects. The other 20% is wind, water, mechanical disturbances, et cetera. Well, bees don't like people, people don't like bees. But bees go and get honey they go get nectar from the plant, and they go pollinate another plant. And while they're gathering this nectar, not because they want to keep us alive and reproduce plants, but they're doing it because they like honey. The bee's looking out for the bee, but while the bee's looking out for the bee, they're also looking out for you and me. God set it up. He made the bees like honey. So the bees, while they're getting the honey, would keep us alive. Well, he didn't make us to be honey bees. He made us to be money bees. And while we're going out to get the money, the perturbation of that is supporting the entire economy. So, but you asked me the question about wealth.
Bro.
So
keep going.
Okay.
That's unbelievable.
Okay. Right. It's mind-blowing.
It's
because
so good.
all principles are microcosms of each other. Anyway, so I'm getting chills just thinking about all this really cool stuff. But wealth, how do I define wealth? Wealth is, I heard Robert Kiyosaki say this, and it's one of the best definitions of wealth I've ever heard. Wealth is your ability to live forward without working.
Great definition.
Isn't that a great definition?
Great definition.
So fortunately for me, I'm 63. I'm not retired. I have no desire to retire. I just desire to aspire higher, and I want to be a poet, and I know it. No, I'm not. Okay, but so I have no desire to retire, but I don't have to work. Like I have enough money, and I have enough income from my investments that I don't have to work anymore. Right? I don't have to. I come to the studio at least twice a week, and during the challenge, we come every day for a week. But like, I don't have to do that. I'm not doing this. This is my way to serve humanity.
I can
right?
Feel it.
And so when we create wealth, our ability to live forward without working. Well, I'm already wealthy. But how do you perpetuate it? You perpetuate wealth by training your children and not spoiling them. Like my wife and I, we didn't give our kids money. Yeah. We gave them opportunities to earn money.
Yeah, we did the same.
Right, exactly. And now my son is one of our partners in our business, and he's a brilliant investor. He's a brilliant investor in all kinds of different things. And then my daughter's the CEO of our company. And it's like we used to play Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game when they were in elementary school, in junior high.
Yes.
We played cash flow for cash. Whoever got out of the rat race first would get $25. Whoever got out second got 10. Whoever got out third got 5.
That's good.
Right? And so we played these games, and I can remember, I'm talking about when they were kids, when my son was 30 years old, we'd sit at our kitchen table and we'd play cash flow. When we were going through our rough time, we'd go sit there and play cash flow. And now, what we were doing on that board game, we do in real life.
Yeah,
It's really fascinating. Maybe one of the most fascinating things I've ever observed in the differences between rich people and poor people. Poor people work really hard for money. Rich people play fun games for money. It's like a game.
Bro.
And it seems like but that's not fair. Okay, well then, either come play the game, come play with us, or keep doing the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I always say, don't hate the player, and everybody would say, hate the game, and I'll say, or
love the game
and play it.
It's
like, man.
Learn the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life's about learning.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tyler. This has been a fun interview, man.
It has been so fun.
Great
I've enjoyed it so much. I feel grateful, and it's humbling also, man, to chat with you, because I've watched your stuff for a long time.
Wow.
And
thank you.
In my mind, a long time.
I've watched your stuff for a long time. That's fascinating. So we got a mutual admiration society.
And it's humbling, man, and I feel grateful to be able to sit down and chat with you, and I'm so excited to have you at my event.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be quite a time.
Yeah, network is going to be so blessed. So listen, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. It's been my pleasure.
So y'all, listen, I know if you don't already follow Myron, I'd go follow if you don't. I would imagine you already do, but if you don't, follow, and then make sure to click the link, man. Grab your tickets and come see this dude live. I will tell you that seeing your content on a platform like this is very powerful, but seeing it and feeling your energy live is...
Oh, it's going to be on another level, bro.
It's another level.
We're about to bring the heat. We're about to bring the heat. It's going to be crazy.
Go. So go share this episode. We'll see y'all at Peak, and live always with aloha. Peace.
Aloha.